Hi, I'm Terry from Waconda Boats here in Glen Elder, Kansas and Republican City, Nebraska. We're going to do a video here on the new model that Lund came out with this year. It's the 2016 1875 Pro V Bass. Now, they've never really done a bass boat design before, so we're really excited about it. We think it's going to go over really well. And I just want to start off by saying it's not your average shallow drafting bass boat. It's using the same IPS 2 hull that they use on the regular Pro V lineup. And so it's going to be a lot deeper hull than those bass boats, and it's just a lot more stable as well. I personally had this on the water yesterday. It was a pretty choppy day out, and it was by far and away the smoothest and driest riding bass boat I've ever been in. It's going to appeal to a lot of different fishermen, not just bass fishermen, but musky fishermen and multi-species fishermen. It's basically a multi-species hull, just like their other Pro Vs and other Lunds, on a bass boat style deck. Now, they make this design in two different variations, and the only difference is in the interior, and I'll try to point that out when we get inside the boat. But they got the regular 1875 Pro V Bass, and then they got what this one is, which is the 1875 Pro V Bass XS. And again, the differences I'll try to point out is just a little bit different seating. The exterior of the boat's the same. It's a short 19 foot. It's 18.9 is the length, and it's a 96-inch beam. Now, this one was sold. It's a sold boat, and it's already been rigged for a customer. So I'll try to point out kind of how we rigged it up and whatnot. A lot of this stuff is just options that we added on after the fact. But all our boats, if we have this in stock, we'll have the custom upgraded trailer, like all of our Pro Vs and Tyes and crossovers. And anybody that doesn't know, that gives you this Lund Armor paint job, which is kind of like a rhino lining texture on the frame of the trailer to prevent rock chips and whatnot. It gives you the nicer diamond tread fenders, nicer wheels, and the spare tire option comes with that as well. This gentleman had this added extra. It's a custom made ladder, basically a two-step ladder that we bolt onto the frame of the front here. As we get to the back of the boat, one feature that's standard on the Pro Vs this year, and is standard to all the Pro Vs, not just this one for 2016, is what they call the rescue ladder. And it's just a nice three-step ladder, folds up and is recessed into the gunnel, so it's not taking up room on the outside of the boat. And it's just an easy way to get back in the boat in the case you fall overboard or whatever the case may be. Folds up real nice though, and stows away inside the gunnel. This gentleman opted for the 200 horsepower Verado. I think that's going to be the most popular engine on this boat. Some guys might opt with it for a 150, but for the most part, I think the go-to motor is going to be the 200 Verado. And as this is one of our rig boats, you can see, and you may have seen in other videos in the past, that all of our Lunds, the way we rig our electronics, are going to have this transom board here on the back. And that gives you the option of moving your transducers around or changing them out, and you're not putting any more holes in the boat than you have to. This you see here is called the Minn Kota Talon, and it's just a lot of bass boat fishermen are going to like that option. It's a shallow water anchor is what it is, and there's a switch on the dash, or you can control it back here at the back, and it's just basically a hydraulic pull. It extends up to 12 foot out, and it just digs itself in the ground or in the mud and it holds you in position. Now, to start at the back of the boat, you'll see that there's a seat base on each side of the engine, so you can fish off of either side of the boat. This seat here is not a standard feature, so if you want the extra seat, you do have to request it. And this center deal here is for a ski tow pylon. The pylon's not standard, but they do go ahead and mount the hardware for the pylon, so if you do want the pylon, you just have to order it, and it'll drop right in place. And now on the starboard side, in the very back here, you'll see a compartment, storage compartment, and that's where your cranking battery goes. And on the port side, you have an all-open storage compartment, and you can put tackle trays in here, life jackets. It's big enough for an anchor or whatever you want to put in here. And now the live wells on these, there's two compartments to get into your live wells. It's a nice large live well. It's 36 inches long and 28 gallons. And now you'll remember I said that this boat comes in two different variations. There's the Pro V Bass and there's the Pro V Bass XS, which this is the XS. The traditional Pro V Bass, you'd have a storage compartment here and another storage compartment on this side. And they're also going to give you another compartment right here for tackle trays, which is kind of nice that this doesn't have. But from there, though, you have your traditional bass boat seating, which is just a bench seat that goes across here. And one of the biggest issues with bass boats is where do you seat people when you're on the go? So that's where this model comes into play. Instead of having that bench seat across here, you have two pedestal seats on the other side, and that opens it up for these jump seats in the back. So where you had seating for 3, which was a little bit scrunched before, now you can seat 4 a lot more comfortably. And there's also storage under these as well. So that's the main differences, between the Pro V Bass and the Pro V Bass XS. Also on the XS version, it gives you another cubby hole right here and a couple cup holders, which this is basically your glove box on this boat. And then on the port side, you do have some gunnel storage, which is open all along here. Now, to get to the console on this boat, one thing that I'd like to point out is that everything is easy to get to, and all the switches are right here handy, and even wiring it, everything's open underneath, so everything's easy to get to. Your fuses are all right here. And then you'll see on the console, this big black area here, it's actually meant to have your fish finder flush mounted into it. Some guys might like it that way. I try to talk people out of it, because when you figure this boat's, once you get it 10-12 years down the road or whenever, and you want to upgrade your depth finder, the chances of finding something to fit that hole you got cut there is going to be hard to do. And so what we do, like on all other lines, is we go ahead and put them on something like a ram or a Cisco mount generally, and that way you can move it. It's not stuck in one spot, and it's a lot easier to take on and off, and it's just easier to get to too. You can move it and get it out of the glare of the sun. It's not stuck in one spot, in other words. Now this here is an option. The stereo option for this boat is just, all it is a Bluetooth only system. So anymore you just have to, it's just a Bluetooth device, so you just hook your phone up to that, and that's how you run your stereo on this boat now. And that is an option. If you want it, you do have to ask for it. Of course, it's tilt steering. This here is for the Minn Kota Talon I showed you earlier, so if that's your shallow water anchor control. And again, like all Lunds, everything's ran off your master power switch. So when that's on, that's how you turn your depth finder and everything on. So if you make sure that's off, there's nothing you have to worry about running the battery down. Another nice storage compartment here is on the floor, and they kind of build it to where it's a step up to the bow deck as well, which is a handy feature to have. And it's also, they put a cooler in there, so it's got a spot for a small cooler, or you could take the cooler out, of course, and put whatever you want in there. But it is kind of a nice compartment that you can use as a step too if you need it. And the rod box is a very large rod box. Holds up to 15 rods, and holds up to 9-foot rods as well. And like all the Lund's Pro V's, there's your trolling motor battery storage is down here underneath the rods in its own compartment, and then you can see where the charger for that goes as well. They do have, what's nice is, they call it on-the-go storage, and they're just bungee straps, but there's different places on the boat to put that stuff. If you're going from one place from point A to point B in a hurry, that way instead of having to put your rods clear back in the compartment, you can use these straps and lay them down, and that keeps them from blowing out of the boat. Another thing I'd like to point out, as you might have seen in the video, is all these extra LED lights. Now that's not a Lund option, that's something he had us add to this boat. So that your boat wouldn't come with those, you'd have to put them on separate. But Lund already puts a lot of interior lights on it already standard, so it's really kind of overkill. You have a nice LED light under here and in the rod box, and in the live well it already comes with a lot of lighting on it. But now to get up on the bow, you have it's a very large, spacious casting deck, plenty of room to cast, and you have two very big storage compartments as well on both sides of the boat. On this one, you can see is travel covers in here, and your navigation light's stowaway in here as well on the side. Same thing on the other side. Very big compartment. You can put a lot of stuff in there. And And you have two more pretty big compartments on both sides of the front as well. They all do come standard with this bike seat, so they all are going to have this. One thing I'll point out, a lot of bass fishermen like to fish with the old cable drive trolling motors. And so this piece here will come out so you can put your foot pedal for the trolling motor down recessed into the deck. That way you're not having to raise your foot up above it to run your trolling motor. Most guys anymore aren't going to need that because they'll run a different style trolling motor like this gentleman here. Most people are putting the iPilots, Terova iPilots, or the Ulteras on there. This one's the Ultera, so you can just push a button and it'll automatically deploy into the water, so you no longer have to manually deploy it in the water or pick it back up. I think for the most part that's pretty well covers the 1875 Pro V Bass. If I missed anything at all though, please feel free to email us or give us a call. Our numbers are on our website, wacondaboats.com. And I'm Terry here at Glen Elder, Kansas, and Travis is in Republican City, Nebraska. Feel free to call us with any questions. Thanks for watching.